Previously on Miss President.
When you now look at the concurrent functions, you already see a recipe for a conflict, especially in performance of those functions, because if the function has been assigned to the national government and at the same time it's assigned to the county government, the question is, where is the boundary?
Government is very complex, as we've probably all noticed now. Whoever will end up staying in the academy will be the persons who are able to take such a complex matter and ensure that a viewer is able to connect and understand.
Ladies, you have received your very beautiful comments, very constructive comments, and for now we'll just go straight to knowing who stays and who goes home.
Hello, is it me you're looking for? Maybe you've done something wrong, like interfered with national security or other. You can run, but you can never hide. This week, we revisit this interesting topic. The national security organs protect the Kenyan people, their rights and freedoms, their property, and ensure that there is peace, stability, and prosperity within the borders. They also ensure that other national interests are protected. Also important to note, Kenya's economic prosperity is undeniably dependent on national security. Our contestants will visit Crime Sipor, which is a youth safety awareness initiative that is engaged in forming, reforming, and transforming the idea behind criminal thinking in our society. In this week's episode, eliminations bring us down to the top 5 who will battle it to the end. But again, as we always say here at the Academy, you never know until you know.
Over 700 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 350 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, over 50 women were selected, and they will now battle it out at the Academy for the coveted title of Miss President. In the race to be elected Miss President, we have the following contestants.
I have a lot of faith in all of the ladies that we are with in top 6, and when I look at them, I know that we are going to get the best Miss President from amongst us.
The judges now are looking for what is practical that you will carry back even to your county as we make the country better. So I can tell you for sure it's the toughest moment. In as much as it's the happiest moment, I've made it to top 6. Yeah. But again, I want to make it top 5 and ultimately number 1.
I had my strategy cut out, like I'll just be myself, stay calm. At this point, it's not possible. Because you're staying calm, but some issues require you to step out of that calmness, out of your shell.
Getting to compete with the best of the best, that alone has stretched me intellectually, has stretched my knowledge across different subjects that I would never have thought about.
Rama Ramadan is a lawyer who serves as a researcher at the Center for Human Rights and Policy Studies, CHRIPS, a leading international African research center based in Kenya that conducts high-quality policy-relevant research on security governance, violence, crime, policing, and human rights. She is keen on generating and disseminating new knowledge that facilitates developing innovative and effective policy solutions to pertinent security challenges in Africa.
So Crime Sipor is a non-governmental organization here in Kenya that focuses on working with the youth and the vulnerable to build a crime-free society and to advocate for safety, justice, and social economic issues through education, advocacy, and social enterprise. So we have 3 key programs. We have our community outreach program, which we reach out to young people both in schools and in the communities to mentor them and to give them life skills. We also, under our community outreach program, have our Phoenix project, which is our prison project that we work to rehabilitate those who may in one way or another have gotten into crime, to prepare them to come back to society and to avoid the mistakes that led them into prison in the first place. So we work both in the juvenile institutions and in the adult prison. And then we have our Access to Justice program, which empowers communities with the legal knowledge, because we realize that a number of times that access to justice is a problem, that people don't know the law and thus cannot defend themselves under the law. So we do that through community legal awareness sessions, and we also train paralegals both in the communities and in the prisons. And finally, we have our social enterprise, because most of the time we'd find that young people will tell you they're getting into crime because they need to put food on the table. So we train them on social enterprise skills that they can use to earn a living, to build jobs. So our motto is inform, reform and transform. And that's what we try to do in the lives of the constituents that we work with.
Vijana wengi sana waliuliwa in Rongai through crime. Ndio tuka join Crime Sipo ambao tunahimiza vijana about crime na effects za crime kwa community. Youths wakiget into community policing. Community policing ni nyumba kumi. Wakiget involved, hawataingia kwa crime because they'll be the leaders. Wataona wakiingia kwa crime nao wenyewe wako kwa hiyo community policy. Itakuwa ni something so weird. Creating job opportunities. Job opportunities una create aje? Unaingia kwa mtaa, you find stakeholders wa mtaa. Unaongea nao ili waweze kusaidia hao vijana. Kuna taskis, kuna naivas, kuna hizi banks ambazo zinaandika watchmen. You can involve the youth kwa hizo makazi ili wasiweze kuingia kwa crime.
So what we've done as Crime Sipo is identified youth groups that we are working with. That is in Nakuru, Kisumu, Kajiado and also Nairobi, that are acting as ambassadors of change in those areas. As Crime Sipo also, we've promoted early intervention. The same kids who graduate or who finish school, maybe Form 4 leavers or Class 8, are the ones who grow up into adult criminals. So what we do, we work with them through life skill process, and it's done weekly in every region that we have. And also just educating young mothers, because they're the ones bringing up these kids.
One of the key reasons why we work with police closely as collaborators is because sometimes we realize as citizens, we're always demanding rights. We forget that every right comes with a responsibility.
We realize that by bringing law enforcement close and making the police, the public know that they're accessible. People don't know that the cop office is not the place where you're going to be punished. It's a place where you can go report and get justice and get your rights. And if it doesn't work, you know where to go next. So one of the key issues that we realized was, instead of making noise out in the media, we go straight to the community. And if we realize that it's you who's going to cause that problem, we'll just let the cops know that it's Ruth who's going to cause the problem. And they were able to arrest these matters before it happened. So some of the interventions we had during the elections were actually intelligence driven. And the intelligence was coming from the community. So in our focal areas, in your areas, if you want to address an issue, ensure that you bring the experts along to be part and parcel of the solution. Don't go there like you know everything. No, you'll not know everything. There's always that extra person who has something they want to share with you.
We've always thought that national security is very complex, but Crime Sipo just puts it in a way that we all relate to, and that it's just right out of our doorstep.
I had not seen the extra bit that we can actually engage young people and youth to be able to actually keep them out of crime. Try to use local resources and other things to try and curb insecurity, and especially amongst young people and children.
We need to come out of our idea of looking at people and terming them in a certain way. And if we do not know how to accommodate people who are different just because we are scared of how we might look, then we end up losing a lot in terms of things that could actually allow us to advance outside our commonality.
Part of the bodies that are fundamental when you talk about national security aspect, apart from the state, is non-state actors. So as part of the non-state actors, civil society play a big role in holding the national security organs accountable. Why should non-state actors take part in promoting effective policing?
There's nothing
for us and without us. So if it's about us as a people, then we have all the rights to participate, to be able to share information with the security organs.
Most of the CSOs, they act as agents of socialization in the community. They teach norms, they teach good behavior, and they also teach what is bad behavior. So these are the very same agents that will be very effective in ensuring that threats to national security are curbed at a very early stage.
Civil society have been a vital focal point in strengthening Kenya's accountability structure in security governance. Case in point is the need for an independent body, which is IPOA. So, all of this work that civil society have done, from research, documentation, to advocacy, to even protests. The last police reforms, a lot of that was informed by work that civil society has been doing. Civil society have been able to provide platforms where, for instance, you can have dialogue between security officials, between policy influencers in the security space and the normal mwananchi. They've been able to provide restorative platforms for even the victims to just talk about the issues. They've been able to deal with the trauma part of it, just the and provide psychosocial support, which is very important as well. I think all of this work leads to ultimately to have legislative reforms, because we can deal with an issue now as one issue, but if the same thing keeps on happening, are we then going to run back to court or run back on the streets to protest, which are effective? But when you're looking for long-term solutions, your answer is always in legislation. So now then, why are non-state actors targeted if they do all of this vital work?
They get targeted depending on the system of governance of the country. When the country is a democratic state, then they are much safer compared to another non-democratic state. And even when we look at the civil society of Kenya, compared to even countries like in the Middle East that have a monarchy, the civil society might not even exist. And that is what determines how the non-state actors are targeted.
So as we continue advocating for, enjoying the democratic nature of our government and enjoying the space that we've been given and, holding the government accountable, we also need to be aware that there are instances where it can be sensitive. And then now what can we do about that?
And now, let us have a look at the key highlights from the topic of this week's episode. Our judges for this season are...
My name is Dr. Zipi Okoth. I am a lecturer at KCA University, a gender consultant, an award-winning filmmaker, and founding director of the Lake International Pan-African Film Festival. I will be looking for someone who is informed, bold, visionary, and has a unique leadership predisposition.
Hi, my name is Jerry Kirene. I am a policy advisor and researcher and an advocate for women's advancement. I am looking for courage, determination, and excellence. I will be kind but firm, as I feel at the Academy there is no room for mediocrity.
My name is Michael Nyango. I am the founder and lead and the agenda setter for Kenya's largest and most trusted social media platform, WhatsApp, the Forgotten Bottom Millions. 4BM, a social enterprise currently reaching over 500,000 persons every week via WhatsApp and transforming the lives of thousands of Kenyans. I will be looking for audacious, bold, and daring leaders.
The tasks for today's assignment are as follows.
For a very long time, security has been an issue of government. Boardroom meetings, hush, undertones, highly classified information. And that is why today I want to look at the socio-economic and livelihood factor of national security. So it's a project for crime mitigation among young people in Mwatate. So now as Maliza Crime NGO, so we want to do 3 sub-projects, which are research and advocacy programs. There'll be a Jamii engagement program, and there'll be economic stimulus program. So the first one is research and advocacy. For the community to be able to own this project, we have to involve them in the research from the very word go. So we engage the youth in policy making by gathering views from them. We publish our research findings. We share findings with other organizations which can actually partner with us. We have the community engagement program, or Jamii engagement program. Here we plan to engage youth in community dialogues per sub-location, per month. We're going to rope in parents and families because this is where these youth are coming from. We bring in police and judiciary as collaborators in our dialogues to be able to make the people understand what security is. Then we have community initiatives, cleanups, community sports events, which are supposed to keep these young people busy. And the fourth one is we're going to establish and run a community library, and we're going to get these books from book drives from different people. Why? Because we want to keep these young people busy, because research shows that crime happens between 2 and 5 p.m. when these people are actually idle. The last one is economic stimulus program, which will train young people on skills. And then back to school program for under 18 children. We're going to organize youth in groups and fund them through the Uwezo Fund, and other funds are available for the youth, like the Youth Enterprise Fund. Apprenticeship programs where we're going to attach them to people who are doing businesses or things like that to be able to learn. And the last one is paid internships, where we're going to collaborate with government and other people.
So my topic today is leveraging social action in crime control and security management strategy. So we are going to propose 3 projects based on this. And the first project is a school-based project for children aged between 6 and 12. Our project title is Girl Guides and Scouts for Safe Spaces. So we are going to call it GGSS clubs. On average, a child will spend 10 hours in school, which translates to 50 hours per week in school. So we want to take advantage of this period and be able to instill some crime control and security management instincts in them. We are going to partner with police officers and CBOs in this activity because the children have a fear for police officers, and we need children to feel free with these people. We are going to have these clubs under the guidance of a teacher who is a patron. And because we are also going to have them replicated maybe in churches and community, we can have officials and residents taking over these clubs. And it's going to take place between 2 and 6 because that's when most children are vulnerable. The next project is community and school-based, and it is for teenagers and junior youths. They are in secondary school. So what we are going to do is that we are going to start an initiative called YO, Youth of Hope. Now, we are going to collaborate with parents, youth, and schools, and we are also going to engage the school curriculum in ensuring that the skills that they need for this are instilled. The third project is community and work-based, where we are going now to upgrade these youth who've been in YO in a program called FACT, and we are going to be helping them to join in the workplace and be able to apply what they've learned in the broader society when they are out there. Because we've noticed the weaknesses they get when they are young, they take to the workplace. We are going to do this through having, again, collaboration with police and probation services. We are going to also have community justice monitors from these same youth. They volunteer to be community monitors. We are going to have job corps who are looking out for job opportunities for these youth. And lastly, we're also going to have some vocational training for them.
Kwetu Salama CBO model. Our mission is to ensure that we have safer neighborhoods through cohesion, through information, through social entrepreneurship. Let's look at what Kwetu Salama wants to bring to the table, a creative economy. We know that the global market, the handicrafts market itself, controls a powering stake of 76 trillion Kenya shillings, and Kenyans are still not actively taking advantage of that space. At the coast, we have a lot of waste in form of coconut husks that come out, and they can make very good crafts for decor in homes. We have the famous mkeka, which is made from sisal reeds, the soft ones. We need to take leverage of this market. I did a small SWOT analysis. What are our strengths? We have youth in abundance. We don't want to keep going to TVETs. Remember, these guys are unemployed. We do not have money. We have a debt cap. We cannot keep going back to the government to seek for more money. We can leverage on existing skills. The Kwetu Salama program involves key activities that include enhancing community policing. This is working together with the Nyumba Kumi initiative groups to ensure that the youths are actively involved in the security issues that are happening in their communities. We also have social enterprise support through the kubuni.com program app. This is the app where most of the crafts are going to be sold. We also have stakeholder engagement, whereby government and non-government funding that exists can be used to allow these communities to be able to access resources for their small business enterprises. We saw a Miss President who has perfected her skill in crochet, and we were all wowed by the outfits that she was doing. If that skill can be able to come down to the communities, we don't need to start looking for new generations for employment.
Kiambu County is one of the leading counties in insecurity and crime in Kenya, followed by Meru County and then thirdly by Nairobi County. And I hope to undertake the following 3 projects. So number 1 is on firearms suppression program. Number 2, a research project on crime and insecurity in Kiambu County. Number 3, I'd like to undertake a county enterprise platform. Firearms for criminal activities account for about 58% of the victimization aspect of it. And then for killing purposes, it is used 42% of the times. So I would involve the community residents in a process of identifying and confiscating illegal guns. And then I'll conduct community awareness forums in every constituency for 2 years. For firearm suppression program, this is the work plan that I would intend to have. Number 1 is to have community awareness forums. For them to give up and surrender their firearms, we need really to convince them, conduct a lot of counseling sessions and really take them out of gang groups as well. The research project, which is my second project on insecurity and crime in the county, will focus on the following areas. Number 1, there are very few strategies on how to reduce demand for illegal firearms, which is something that we need to establish so that we can implement in our policies. Number 2, we need to understand the proliferation of small firearms in Kiambu County. How exactly are they even getting there? And then we also need to understand the efficiency of national policies on small arms and light weapons in Kiambu. So my third county community project is the county enterprise platform. So I intend to train the villagers on best farming methods, have them attached to government extension workers. And then so we'll have constructive engagement of young people and of course increase food production.
My project today is going to look at enhancing Kenya's national security through the socio-economic empowerment of boda boda riders. Data from Treasury says they collect 60 billion annually in fuel taxes from the boda boda sector. 97% of boda boda riders are youth. The negative side, 85% of robbery with violence is done by boda boda operators. Murder at 62%. General stealing at 49%. Death by dangerous driving at 29%. And then 2 out of 5 girls give birth before the age of 20. And this is data from Homa Bay County. So what do I seek to achieve with the Tuimarishe Socioeconomic Empowerment Project is to improve access to gainful economic livelihoods for boda boda riders. That is in Kilifi County and Homa Bay. And then to evaluate national policies that are yet to be implemented, and then to curb the escalating crime rates amongst young people who are operating as boda boda riders. So how am I going to do this? So vocational training and economic empowerment for motorcycle, or rather boda boda riders. Our project will look at finance and entrepreneurship for them, digital literacy and agribusiness skills. You've seen cases of boda boda riders who take advantage of school-going kids in terms of sex for free rides or sex for pads. So work with boda boda riders as champions of sexual and reproductive health and rights. We're going to ensure that we enforce the National Transport and Safety Authority Regulation Act, because in March 22, there was a crackdown on motorcycle riders because of an assault that was meted on a female motorist. But then they were given 60 days to register afresh and then also register within circles. But then after a few days, that was it. So that has not been entrenched. And I intend to ensure that we use Kilifi and Homa Bay counties as an example of that.
We are here today to discuss Mending the Broken Family Fabric program. This program will be a youth-friendly organization, one to embrace youth participation in vulnerable counties by 2027. And I decided to pick on 2 counties as a pilot, that is Siaya and Tharaka Nithi counties. So I have 3 projects, and one of the projects is called Talanta Zetu Zaweza. The young person of today is so much in social media. We expect that when they have their Talanta Zetu Zaweza, you can tap their potential. Give the messages there. Then the village digital comes. So my program will actually take you to the village by organizing camps. Can that young person in Tharaka Nithi or Siaya get to know that there is this talent show that the government is actually sponsoring? Then I have the Mabeshte empowerment. A young person would love to learn from another young person. So that is why them that have skills can come down to Siaya and Tharaka Nithi and actually give apprenticeship so that they are able to get pesa mfukoni. Then savings and loaning grants both national governments and the county governments have lots of grants, cooperatives that they can engage these young people, bring them together because they are mabeshte. It is very easy to associate with a fellow peer. Then the sisters keeper, we tell them, usishike mimba, usishike mimba. Once we have a sisters keeper model, everyone now will know it is our responsibility and there will be no pointing of fingers. And the young people, the youth in this country, when they join hands together, we all know that they sing in one voice.
It is time to give you your elimination slips. Remember, name of proposer, that is your name. Person to be eliminated from the academy, that's question number 1, and give the reason why. Question number 2 is person who must stay in the academy and give the reason why.
Before we get to the elimination stage, let us have a moment of reflection with the judges.
Social, economic factors and how they impact the livelihood in terms of national security governance is a very important issue. You gave them an assignment that's actually based on what they learned yesterday. Did you see in the assignments exactly what arose out of the conversation yesterday and how they could advance that forward in their various communities?
They understood the nuances of, social economic factors that affect national security. Normal livelihood things that, you may overlook and just focus on the hard approaches, which was really important not only in responding to insecurity and crime, but also the preventive aspect of it. And they do appreciate the fact that as a non-state actor, you also play a primary role in contributing to the national security conversation.
Judge Michael, you have a background in governance, and did you see any ideas that arose out of the presentations from the contestants that could actually be practically used in not only just a county setting, but even on a national level?
They've moved from theoretical things to things which are actually practical and implementable, that you can actually go out into different county settings or even to the national government and actually roll them out. So I'm very proud that after all these weeks, you can see accumulation of all the teachings and the trainings that have happened have actually come and bore fruition.
The only way you get to understand the issue of crime is when you interact with it on such a personal level. Like, for example, if you've been a victim, you've been a perpetrator, or you've been somebody who has found yourself behind bars, not for any crime that you've committed, but you are there. So this topic is so important, and I'm glad we've tackled it, because then we're able to teach people at home that getting behind bars is a second. People progress in crime. Nobody gets up and becomes a murderer. And so if they can take this topic and those solutions that they have come up with, they can go very far in helping us prevent crime.
Judge Zippy, you deal with the youth on a regular basis as an academic, and unfortunately, when it comes to crime, everybody seems to target the youth.
So as much as we are blaming the youth on many things, we also need to look at it from adults' point of view, like what's our responsibility when it comes to these youth? These youth come from communities, from families, and they are socializing with adults who need to take responsibility in guiding and leading the youth in the right way, and even creating opportunities that should not enable youth to participate in crime.
Rama, out of the presentations, did you see maybe one or two that really struck you as being revolutionary in terms of the ideas and concepts behind security?
In terms of giving out strategies, it was important for them to use existing resources and networks. They were able to do that. And not only were they able to do that, they were also able to contextualize the solutions to realities in the counties that they want to implement these projects in. So based off of that only, I probably would not send any of them home. But
they're that good.
Yes.
They're that good.
I'm really going to give them this feedback because I think it's important that they hear their growth, and it's important that they hear the solutions that they're giving can be implemented down there.
For the assignment, the contestants will be judged on their understanding of the task, time management and presentation, creativity and innovation of the solutions provided, and lastly, leadership and group dynamics.
Congratulations for coming this far. We are indeed very, very proud of you. I'd like to invite our trainer of the day, Ms. Rama, to give us her comments.
Generally, I'm happy with the presentations. You took a lot of time in terms of contextualizing what you want to implement on the ground and understood the nuances of what is happening on the ground. Pauline, you had a wonderful presentation and you presented really good strategies, and they were centered around an important component of the society and, which really shapes a lot of the things that we see in society and in the communities around us. Your contextualization was good and you identified the root cause of the factors. The strategies, maybe there was a disconnect in marrying them to your factors that you had identified earlier. As leaders, we need to be precise and concise in saying what exactly are we addressing. Bina, your responses were very clear. You picked one problem to address and looked at the different moving parts. And you addressed the advocacy part, you addressed the programming part, and you addressed the legal reforms. And also you addressed a very important thing, which is the narrative and dealing with the way the borders have been behaving with community, particularly the women. So, shaping that narrative in the community is very important. I think when you're talking about borders, thinking about solutions that are fast to implement, you need to look at influential people in the area. Those people mentioned as key stakeholders. I'll now go to Frida Karani. It was good to see that the solutions you're proposing are very workable. You could see these projects being implemented on the ground by various actors very easily. They largely focused on children and young adults, which I think, if I'm right, you're trying to deal with the preventive aspect from the very early stages. I think also what stood out for me is the fact that you mentioned the use of existing networks and reviving others, like for instance, the Scouts group. While you were presenting, there were a few instances where you mentioned particular activities in the projects that did not quite connect to the overall problem. How exactly they were going to contribute to, the challenges around insecurity, because you hadn't mentioned, I'm going to deal with unemployment, for instance. I'll now move forward to Milka. You took a more holistic approach. You recognize the need for, an in-depth study before going into implementation or even further conceptualization of your project, which was really good. You also had a clear plan of how you were going to do this consistently. There's some activities which I couldn't see the connect. I think particularly for me, the community library and the book drive. I see the bigger picture, but again, you've got to be concise. What exactly are you dealing with in terms of, having these resources being easily accessed by your target audience? Angel, you did a good job in giving background information and contextualizing the problem. You presented what would be factors of insecurity and crime in your area really well. As you're presenting, I was thinking about the practicability. Is this issue something that they have jurisdiction over, of it, and it being implemented at the local level with local structures? Noro? From the onset, you identified issues actually that were particular to your county. In terms of identifying existing networks in your county, you did. I think you had one of the local policing accountability structures there, which was really good. The use of social media and online selling platforms, I think, was a commendable thing. The SWOT analysis that you did, I think while it was a good starter, maybe it needed a bit more meat so that we address the weaknesses in the strategies that you have.
I believe all of you are very excited to hear those comments. We have known you long enough and we'd like to give you your comments. But before that, I'd like you to come to the front in the following order. Angel Mbothia, Bina Maseno, Frida Karani, Milka Riga, Nuru Mohammed, Pauline Onguko. I'll start with Judge Michael to share his comments.
I want to speak to Milka. Good presentation, well done, well researched, well put together. But you remember, you had great things that you wanted to carry out, but you didn't mention who the champions were, who was going to be in the driving seat to ensure that those things come to full fruition. I didn't see anything which was out of season and innovative. Remember that whenever you're going to be proposing a project, whether it is to a funding body, what is the unique selling proposition that sees to it that yours gets the funding over all the rest?
I'd now like to speak to Bina Maseno. Your work was very systematic. You looked at it on the wider context of what is it that causes crime with border riders of the transport system. I like that you narrowed down to them and you not just look at even the matatus and all the theft that happens in matatus. You focused on vocational training, but then you also looked at borders as champions of sexual and reproductive health and rights. One thing we know is that all borders have circles, and those circles are very powerful in the estates, in the small towns. You should also have mentioned that at least if you could be able to talk to the chairman and the secretaries of the different small circles, it can also be able to reach to their larger communities. I mean, if we even have a solution like if anyone is found as a culprit, then they forfeit all their shares and benefits in the circle, it will make everybody be disciplined.
I would like to speak to you, Frida. I liked what you had in terms of looking at value chain approach to security and crime management. I thought that was a very apt title for what it is you are trying to do. But the one thing that I was hoping you could have contextualized your work is for you to first of all understand what's the problem, in the sense that you're talking about children. You know that growth milestones happen within an age band. You know that. So it is 0 to 3, 6 to 12. So you should have contextualized it in that manner so that we understand what is the scope we're dealing with, and at what point do these programs come to help to bring that child back into society as somebody who is productive and who can also benefit from the society.
Angel, great that you've made it to the top 6, and a little bit about your own county and home, Kiambu. I'm surprised that in the context of that, you left out the issue of alcoholism. You left out the issue of absent fathers, which is all part and parcel of the bigger problem. My feeling is that you oversimplified it and you didn't give some really deep context. And then strangely enough, your order of your project said that you would do firearms suppression program and then go and do a research project on crime and insecurity in Kiambu County. We would have thought that the first thing would be the research, which would then lead you and point you to landing on the firearms. So you had it in reverse order.
Niru, I liked that you brought out causes of crime that are relatable within your county. And even when you looked at it, you looked at both state and non-state actors. What I liked most about your work is when you talked about creative economy. Yeah, I love creative economy, of course. I mean, the creative economy. With the creative economy, you can leverage almost every other sector of the industry. From the IT people can come in to help with marketing of the products. Tourism sector can come in because of the creative economy. And also now looking at opening up the market for women and youth. So it's empowering many people in totality while still pushing the art and the crafts from your community. But the question is, what else are you bringing up? Are you bringing in from this Kwetu Salama initiative? What is making your community policing different from the other persons? Because yes, we are giving them all nice Swahili names, but what is making yours different?
Pauline Onguko, the title of your presentation is Mending the Broken Family Fabric Program. And then in your entire presentation, I didn't see you mentioning anything about the family. I've spoken to all of you before. I said, if you do not get clear, you lose your audience. If you were to present this to me and I'm a donor, I'm still asking, where is the family? I'm not seeing that.
So you can't be doing this at this level of the competition.
And now it has come to that moment when we have to make the very difficult decision to know who will be the top 5. After a very long deliberation, Milka Riga, I think the one thing that was said every day about you was that too aggressive, too outspoken, very pushy, does not listen to others. It is not easy to lead if you cannot speak your own voice. But I also know it is not easy to lead if you cannot listen to others. We will allow you into the academy again. Dr. Frida Karani, I know it is not easy being a contestant when you have been a teacher and a lecturer for that long. I don't know why you are still in the academy when many of the contestants, especially the ones who made it to top 30, were very young, and you, with your experience, you gelled with them. Sometimes being a role model is not very easy. We will allow you to be in the academy, and we hope you will make us proud. Nuru Mohammed, many of the contestants loved you because you are easy to talk to, easy to listen to. We also love that you really believe in your county, and in almost every assignment, you related it to your county. However, in the last few episodes, I don't know who that was. Nuru Mohammed, I think the person who chose your name blessed it. Back to the academy. Bina Maseno, as a leader, you need to be able to learn to read your audience and know when to show what emotion. Your work, on the other hand, has been very good. You love data, and we love data, but we still ask ourselves, is she strong enough for that seat? Bina Maseno, you are going back to the academy. Pauline Onguko, you have also been a very strong contestant from the very beginning. Even during group work, a lot of times you were chosen as the speaker of the group. You have good solutions. However, what are the new approaches that Pauline can bring? Because all your solutions are the usual approaches of every county government, regime in, regime out. So can we find new sustainable approaches? And it makes us wonder, should we be looking for top 5 or should we just be content with top 4? Pauline Onguko, you are going to the next level. Angel Mbuthia, I like that you have grown in the academy. I think there was a time we were like, from her presentation, she is definitely very young. When you present your ideas, it is no longer Angel's self-opinion. It is about facts and research and well-articulated work. However, I don't know what happened today, Angel. I'm not sure how to put this, but welcome back to the academy. We have changed the dynamics of the program. Instead of having top 5 to top 6, it is not every day that this happens. We decided to let the audience make the choice from now on. We do not want to be embarrassed. As custom, we must know who was our best presenter for the day. And I'd like to give that chance to Judge Njeri to share.
So today, the best presentation was you, Dr. Frida Karani. You are a star.
We are so proud of you for coming this far, and we want to trust that you are going to make the Miss President show truly worth the title of Women in Leadership. Keep your eye on the goal, ladies. Keep your eye on the prize.
As today's battle comes to an end, here's a quick reminder of who has left the academy and who still remains in the competition.
And I think that was the toughest decision for the judges, but they made the best decision because at the end of the day, when they looked at it, they said, these ladies are able to make Miss President. And so they gave us that chance, very humbling. And of course, we are not taking it for granted. We say a big thanks, and we are not going to disappoint Kenyans.
I think the judges made the right decision to maintain all the 6 competitors. That was the best decision because I was not even envisioning who's going to leave. Certainly not me, though I was very anxious. But yeah, they made the best decision.
I'm so proud of myself for being here, and I'm proud for the fact, I'm happy for the fact that we did not have to deal with the emotions of, letting someone go and saying bye to them.
I know judgment is not an easy decision to make, but it has to be made anyway, and if they had the opportunity of ensuring that Kenyans to make the ultimate decision, then I have nothing to complain about.
The journey has been consistent, competitive. The biggest competitors to watch out in this competition are those who are in the political space, because a negative comment from the judge is just another day in the office.
I think it was a good decision, giving all of us an opportunity to present our best to the electorate so that the electorate choose.
As this group of 6 powerful Miss Presidents walks on a long and grueling path toward the grand finale, we can only cheer and urge them to put their best foot forward. I challenge you now with this quote from American politician Abigail Sparberger. I'm always willing to have a conversation about strengthening our national security in a long-term, comprehensive, and cost-effective manner. Thoughts, opinions, compliments, suggestions, tweet us on @media_focus. Find us on Facebook @MFA Media Focus on Africa, and check us out on Instagram @MediaFocus on Africa. This show will be uploaded to YouTube. To view this episode and other episodes, including the full training session, kindly click on the link provided to access the Miss President YouTube channel. And remember to click, like, and subscribe to the only show where you never really know until you know.